Okay, in this one we're going to set up volume shadow copies and demonstrate how it works, which is the last question in this practice assessment. So this works on a volume basis. So I'm just going to open up our file manager and I'm going to go to drive C. Now drive C has quite a few shared folders on it, and so what we want to do is be able to back up shares where people are often in, multiple people are in those shared folders and they're changing stuff and backing stuff up. So we often need to make backups much more regularly than just at the end of the day. So we could set this up so that it takes a backup of all our shared folders on drive C every hour or something like that. So the way we do this is if we go back out to drive C, do a right mouse click on the drive, we can configure shadow copies. And so what we're going to do is currently disabled. If we hit enabled, it'll do it, or I can go create now, or I can look at some of the settings. So let's look at some of the settings. I'm going to set aside not that much. I'm going to set aside like let's go make it 700 megabytes. Okay, 700 megabytes. And I can also set a schedule. So the schedule here is how often that it actually does the shadow copy. It's currently got two settings here, like it's two. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete one. I'm going to delete that one. So that leaves one. What we're going to do is at 7 AM every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but not Saturday, Sunday, it's going to do a shadow copy at 7 AM. But what I wanted to do is I want to go advanced and I want to repeat this task every 1 hour for 8 hours. Call it 10 hours. Okay, so every 10 hours. So it'll go every hour for 10 hours. Okay?
From 7 a.m.
So it'll go 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. 10 hours. I could go 12 hours, I suppose. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There we go. If the task is still running at the time, stop it at this time. So I could tick that box, but it's not necessary. Okay, so I don't have a start and end date. I've got just to repeat the task 12 times from 7 a.m. So this scheduling system is actually quite powerful. We can set it up to happen in 10-minute intervals or 1-minute intervals, or all sorts of different strategies depending on what the risk profile of our organisation is. So I'm going to go OK on that. So that's the setting, the schedule. I'm using a maximum of 700 megabytes and I've enabled it, and there's currently 6 shares on that volume that it's found. And what I want to do is I want to create that now. So I'm going to hit create now. So now it's created a shadow copy of those 6 shares. And every hour for the next 12 hours, it's going to create another copy. That's 320 megabytes. I allowed a maximum of what, 700 megabytes?
And after that, what happens?
So what happens is I'll be able to do 2 generations. On the 3rd generation, it'll overwrite the first one. Okay? So normally what you would do is you'd do one, check the sizing, and then go change your limits to suit how many generations that you might want. So if I've got 12 copies, if I've got 12 different, every hour for 12 hours during the day, maybe I want to keep 12 copies. So 12 at 300 is what? 3600. So call it 4 gigabytes. So if I kept 4 gigabytes, then I'd keep enough copies of this to have 12 copies, maybe a little bit more, for a day. Okay, so that means the next day they'd start overriding the previous day. But it meant during that day I've got an hourly copy of all the shared files possible in actually, it's probably not that bad. I don't need to actually increase it. 320 megabytes is the very first one. So what gets backed up next time is only the things that have changed since this time. Okay, so in the next hour, the things that have changed will get backed up.
Not full backup.
So it won't be a full backup. It'll be a differential.
Increment.
No, it'll be an incremental backup.
Increment.
Incremental backup. So it's only the things that have changed since the last backup. And so it's actually quite efficient in hard disk space. So I don't need to go 12 times this in order to get the 12 lots. If I've got double, I've got 700 megabytes. So I'd probably get maybe 20 generations. Who knows? Because it's only the files that change regularly. And a lot of those wallpapers aren't going to change, for example. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so I've set it up in place. I've created my first shadow copy. So let's just say I was in here and I accidentally went to the wallpapers and somebody got all these hidden universe ones and accidentally deleted them. Now I'm not going to just go put them in the trash bin. I'm going to go shift delete and it's going to say, do you want to permanently delete these 6 files? Yes, I do. Permanently deleted, they're gone. What a catastrophe, what an accident. Yes, I can go back to my previous day's backup, but I can also go to the properties of here and I can go to a previous version and I can go to a previous version of the wallpaper and I can open it and I can retrieve from the previous version of that folder all of those files and copy them back to the original. Back to here, paste. So now I've retrieved from a previous version back to the original version, and so it's quite handy. Now, normally this is used for example, let's just say 2 people have, we might have 3 or 4 people working on a document, and then we've done an hour's work on it, we've made a couple of shadow copies in between, and then we realised, no, we want to go back to what that previous version was. I can just go back and select an individual file from a previous version and just select that one file to restore instead of restoring the entire directory. Because if you can imagine that you restore the entire directory but other people are working on other files in that same directory, and if you restore all of the files, then you can overwrite all their work as well. So this is incredibly useful but also incredibly dangerous, because I could restore over the top of everybody else's work for the last hour as well if I restored the entire folder, which you can do. So I mean, if I was opening this and went to my drive C and I went to the wallpapers and I went right mouse click, restore previous version, I could go back to the previous version and restore the entire folder. Restore the previous version of the wallpapers. So yes, it's only 5 minutes ago, but that would restore everything that's in that folder. Okay, but if other people are working on other documents in that folder, you wouldn't want to switch them back to losing their work as well. So the good point about this is that I can just open a previous version and select a single file that I want to recover, or go back to a previous version of a single file. And so it's nuanced enough, this backup system, that you can do just individual files rather than entire folders. Okay, so that demonstrates how to set up shadow copies and how it works. So that's the end of this video.